Well, the football schedule is out for the NFL, and now everybody is making their predictions of who is going to be successful and who is going to maybe fall short. You can now find out where the road games are, how many in a row, who's going East Coast, West Coast, all of those factors. Some of the teams were very fortunate, and some of the teams struggled a little bit. So it's interesting. So now I think it is time and appropriate for us to do a way too early predictions of who will make the playoffs, the top 7 teams in each division. So you have not division, but conference. So we're going to have the AFC top 7 and the NFC top 7 and maybe a few people that are on the cusp. Yeah. So joined by Trent again, Trent Snead. And so thank you again for joining us. What are you thinking? What were some of the things that stood out to you in this schedule that came out? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, first of all, I'd just like to say the Pittsburgh Steelers got taken in the back end for their schedule. Not fair whatsoever. But, it was kind of funny to think as I was looking at the, the rankings for the schedules for difficulty, and gosh darn it, you would think they had put some of the better teams with harder schedules.
Yeah.
They didn't really.
Yeah.
Like the 49ers schedule, not bad. And they had the best record last year, or was it close to the best record?
Yeah, they did. The only thing about their schedule that is one of the hardest, they have to fly so far away. So distance, they travel, I think, the second most in the league. So they have the most distance. They also have the least amount of rest between games. They have the most games with the shortest rest. So that was tough.
Yeah, you know what upset me?
What's that?
We had a stinking week 5 bye.
Oh. No, you don't want the early bye.
Oh, you don't want the early bye. It gets you every time.
No, that actually is terrible.
Yeah, no, it's not good for your health.
Yeah, the one thing I hated about the 49ers schedule was we start off the season on a Monday night. We don't need that extra day rest. One thing that's nice about a Monday night game is the week before you get an extra day's rest before you have the short. We don't need an extra day's rest on the first game of the schedule. So that stunk. I never like that. And so we're playing the Jets opening day. So that kind of stinks. But
well, at least you're not playing overseas like the Eagles.
Yes. That's terrible.
Yeah. And not only that, but we get a home game taken away for that.
Oh, yeah. That's your home game?
That's our home game.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that awesome?
That's not good. That should happen to a team like the Cowboys.
And it's against a good team. Like the Green Bay Packers are a solid team.
That's brutal.
Yeah, they just have so many weapons. Their defense it's a solid defense.
Yeah. Green Bay's a good little team.
I think the crazy part about Green Bay is they're a very similar team to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Where at this point, I think they have enough weapons between the offense and enough weapons on the defense to say it's down to our quarterback at this point.
Yeah. So. Yeah, they've got great receivers.
There's a couple teams that are in that column, though.
Yeah.
I would say the 49ers are in that column. Mm-hmm. The Eagles are in that column.
Detroit?
Green Bay's in that column. Yeah, Detroit, definitely. Absolutely. Gosh darn it. Miami. Yeah. I think the Dolphins are in that column.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It'll be interesting to see. So let's start off. You want to do the NFC first and start with your top picks?
Yeah, we can do the NFC first. Okay. I think the crazy part is I actually, being an NFC person, I felt it being very difficult to do this.
Yeah.
I went and actually looked at some of the power rankings, and then I said, I don't care, and I just did what I wanted to.
Okay. All right. Why don't we do this? Why don't we start at 7 and then move forward? So who do you have NFC 7th? And then at the end, we'll go, these are some other teams that could maybe crack in the top 7, but who's your 7th?
You're either going to love this or you're going to hate this. I got number 7, Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys.
Okay. All right. Yep. That's good.
Randy, every bit of my bone just said, leave them off.
Me
they
too.
don't belong there.
They
don't belong there.
Yeah.
But man, I just kept on looking at it and going, the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles have made the playoffs for 3 years in a row. One winning the NFC East or the other, right? And they've kind of just gone back, but both are making the playoffs every year, right? And I'm like, man, I think they regressed quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't think they're the same team. I think Dak relies heavily on having a good run game, and I don't think they have a run game.
Terrible run game.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there thinking, man, is Micah Parsons going to put this team on his back to just get into the playoffs? But I think they're going to do it. They might be the 7th best, and they might barely squeak in, but I think they're going to do it.
They could. Okay. So my 7th team that I have was also the Cowboys. And I had them not on my list. I actually had them off my list, and then I crossed the other teams out, which I'll go over shortly. And I don't know why it is. It's like they kind of are always there. And part of me likes the fact that they'll be there, only because I like them to be good enough to not get a great draft pick and to have hope and then watch them all suffer at the end. So that's just kind of fun for me. So I don't know if it's like wishful thinking that they can have false hope, but that, you do have a quarterback that is a good quarterback. He's an average plus to decent quarterback. And they do have, Lamb as a receiver.
Last year he did really
linebacker.
good too.
So they have some things, but I think it's more recent history is making me think that. But when I go to logic, where I didn't have them on there, is they lost some of their offensive linemen. So they're depleted there, and then they've lost their running game.
Yeah.
And so Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, he was terrible 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So he's like terrible advanced 2 years later. So they're going to struggle. But I also see with the Giants, there's a couple wins that they're going to have probably. The Commanders, I think, will be better. But in the division, I don't think they'll beat the Eagles either time. I think the Eagles will beat them both times.
I sure hope so.
So, and Dak is all right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's all right. So,
last season he had a really good showing.
He did.
He did. He stepped it up in ways. I think the problem is, though, is if you're a Cowboys fan or a Cowboys hater, you look at Dak Prescott's numbers and he's thrown those in garbage minutes.
Yeah.
Right? He's thrown all these touchdowns in garbage minutes. He had nothing to lose.
Yeah. And in the big games, he got throttled most of the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So he did well against the bad teams and struggled against the good teams. But I don't know why. I didn't have him, and then I did, and I don't know.
All I'm going to say is, for anyone who thinks I'm a Cowboy hater out there, okay?
I am.
You are so lucky. You are so lucky, because everything in my bones as a Philadelphia Eagles fan said, leave them off the list. They don't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
But
You're trying to be objective.
Well, I just thought, what has history told me?
Yeah.
And history tells me that they'll somehow squeak in there.
That they are mediocre plus.
Yeah.
That's what history says.
Yes.
So, okay. The last time they won a Super Bowl, Jerry Jones was older.
Yeah, I mean, he probably was, in his late 60s?
Yeah, so now he's really older.
Okay. He probably was just getting his AAA membership about the time they made the Super Bowl last time.
Yeah. So, yeah, he got discounts on coffee and everything. But
poor Grant.
I'm getting close to that.
I'm so sorry, Grant.
Yes.
We love you.
I am so grateful for this moment. So, okay, who do you have as number 6?
Number 6, everything. Remember how I said history told me the Dallas Cowboys are going to make it to 7?
Yeah.
History told me that the Los Angeles Chargers, the Los Angeles Rams. There's no way they're making it to the playoffs.
Okay.
I looked at their strength of schedule.
Yeah.
It's not great for them.
Yeah.
I looked at how many key players they've lost, including Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
At that position. And I'm sitting there going, oh, man, there's just no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. They play in one of the toughest divisions.
Yeah.
Right? No one wants to play in the NFC West.
Right.
You got scrappy teams down there. You got Seattle scrappy. Arizona, you can never know when they're going to get a win.
Yeah.
And then you play the San Francisco 49ers. You play those 3 teams twice a year.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just like, there's just no way. But I will say this. Last year, Matthew Stafford, I think he put on a showing saying, I am not done yet.
Yeah.
He's older now. And Sean McVay, he's piling up the picks, grabbing some good players. I thought they had a solid draft this year. And I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I think Matthew Stafford is probably one of the last older QBs in the NFL that I think is truly talented and can bring his team above.
Sure.
And, he did it with the Lions for many years. I think he did it with the Rams just last year. And I think he said, no, I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
And I'm taking that for what it is. And I'm saying, you know what? Okay. I'm going to ride with it. Let's see what you can do.
Sure.
And we'll see what happens this year. But yeah, I think
they've got great receivers.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of things going.
They drafted a running back high.
Yeah.
So they'll have a good running back.
Yep.
Their offensive line's actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
You got Matthew Stafford back there. If their defense can somehow seem to stop a few people.
I'm just not sure if Stafford will hold up because he's older. That will be what's interesting. He's just older and you just never know.
Yeah.
But he's got the talent. He's got the guts. He's always, since his rookie year, has never had a hard time shying away from being tough. His rookie year was like, he had that moment where he got hurt and went off with like the shoulder problem. Then they're down at like the 3-yard line at the end of the game, and he went off and he was holding his shoulder, and then he just said, "Screw it, I'm going in."
Yep.
In the last play, and they win. That just shows who he is. So he's good. So I can see it. Okay, so that's your 6. My 6 is going to be the biggest surprise of maybe everything here.
Okay.
But what I had to do was I had to look. You have to have a division winner, even in a bad conference, or and so I see a terrible division I think it's the South.
Yep.
And I'm going to pick Atlanta to make the playoffs. I have no idea who's going to really win that division. I'm just picking them. I think, even though I think their draft was terrible, I think their future was compromised significantly. But I think the Saints are going to be bad. I think it could be Tampa Bay. That could be them. But I think that they're going to take a step back. That's just my guess. And so I think Atlanta will do well. We'll see if Kirk Cousins can come back and do well. That'll be interesting. But that's who my pick is.
Yeah, that's difficult. It's difficult I see what you're saying too.
And Charlotte's terrible.
Yeah.
So they're not going to make it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone's taken Carolina right now. But anyways, I can see how that's difficult. I mean, part of me wants to say that Baker's going to pull through another year in Tampa Bay. I mean, you got the ageless wonder in Mike Evans still doing his thing. You got Godwin. He's still out there doing his thing. I think they both had 10 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
It's difficult to kind of bet against what's been working for them.
Right.
I think they have a solid defense. And Baker proved last year that, he matured a little bit.
Yep, absolutely.
Took some time to mature. But I think he's matured into a solid starting quarterback. I don't think he's going to be the guy that you're like, yeah, he'll lead any team to a Super Bowl ever. But, he is the guy that I think if you put the right weapons around him, you could end up having a good winning strategy.
And he had a good season last year.
Oh, yeah.
He did well.
Well, and I'll just say this. You saw the little stint with him down in Los Angeles when Matthew Stafford got hurt, and Sean McVay believed in him. And I think, when you have one of the top tier coaches in the league saying, no, this he's not done yet. I believe in him. No. I think that's a sign. I think Baker came out and proved that he is worthy of that. And he had a solid season last year. I was totally fine with him giving them that contract extension. I think his problem at this point, though, is you have an Atlanta Falcons team who hasn't had a solid starting quarterback in years. They've done nothing but stockpile first-round talent on this team, right? You have first-round wide receivers, first-round tight end. You got first-round running back. Their backfield's stacked. And you're running into a situation where Atlanta Falcons haven't had a good quarterback. Now they're going to get a quarterback with Kirk Cousins. You know what you're going to get with him. Yeah. He's a solid quarterback. He's going to give you all the numbers that you want. He might not work out all the time in prime time, but he's going to give you a winning record.
He beat my Niners last year. It was a little rough.
Yeah,
he did pull a second primetime win out. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's a rough topic. Sorry about that. We'll move on from that.
Do you have Atlanta winning that division, or who do you have winning?
I do have Atlanta winning that division. So,
So who's your 5th team?
So my 5th team is Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can just keep rolling on that.
All right. So that's good.
Yeah. I don't know. I just struggled with the fact that I believe that Tampa Bay is going to make it interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to make it interesting enough to get in a wild card position.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's difficult because I think they're probably both like 9-win, 10-win teams, Yeah. And I feel like the NFC is probably going to be like 10 wins at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's good. The nice thing for them is the division that they're in. Mm-hmm. So that will help them. So that's your 5th team. My 5th team is the Rams.
Okay.
Who you have in there as well. So far we have similar teams. I just think that the offensive weapons, if Stafford stays well, and he's got these wide receivers, they're tough. Yeah. That offense is tough, and if they're just within striking distance, when you have those weapons and the running game and their offensive line is a good offensive line, you're afraid on defense because you know that you got to have a double-digit lead on them.
Yep. I think the wild card in there with the Rams too is where the Seattle Seahawks end up playing out. Okay. I think the reason why the Rams are here and the Seahawks aren't is they are just completely an unknown commodity at this point. Yeah. You have a new head coach. You're losing a coach that's been there for a long time. built a certain morale around the team.
Oh yeah,
right.
He's the identity.
He was the identity of that team. So they lose him. They have a new coach. That coach is unproven.
Yep. And it takes time.
And they're also still riding it out with a quarterback that's unproven.
That's the big thing. Stafford versus Geno. I mean, that's a big difference.
They had their chance to get out of that, and they should have taken it.
Yeah.
They should have taken it. This is the thing. Geno is the safety of all safety. He is like, he's going to give you a half decent year.
Yeah.
For the next 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
But do you want to have a half decent year? Do you want to make, some changes and take some risks?
Yeah. And now I'll tell you, the Seahawks, if they got a quarterback, and they got a top 10 quarterback, then they're scary.
I think they can be scary.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the thing. For all the Seattle fans out there, I'll just say this. You're an unknown commodity. I'm not saying you are or not going to be a top team. I'm not saying that you're not going to be up there with the Los Angeles Rams fighting for that number 2 position in the NFC West. What I am saying is there's absolutely no way for me to guess that at this point.
Right. All you can go by is what you see. They have great corners. They've got a good offensive line. They've got a good running game. They've got some receivers. They've got a solid team, but that quarterback play is the most important position.
Well, what is it? What did they always say? Colin Cowherd, he always says owner, head coach, GM, and quarterback.
Yeah.
I can't trust their quarterback.
Yep.
I don't know their coach yet.
Yeah, right. You don't know in the NFL how he's going to be.
Yeah,
right.
I just think there's too much unknown. And with Los Angeles, man, I got a coach I can trust and a quarterback I can trust. Yeah. So sticking with that for now.
Sure. Okay. So where are we at here? 4?
No, I'm on my 5.
Okay, you're 5.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm on my 4.
Okay,
I apologize.
Yep.
Green Bay.
Okay.
So Green Bay would technically be a wild card in this situation.
Okay.
Because I have Detroit winning the NFC North.
Sure.
But I think they're in a very specific situation where they have a team that's very well built. That was proved last year. Got a lot of offensive power out there, a lot of offensive firepower that Jordan Love was able to have some solid games with last year.
Yeah.
I think, they start off the season with playing the Eagles. I think that's going to be a true litmus test of what they're going to be able to do.
Yeah.
I don't see it past them being the Eagles in that first game.
Yeah.
I think, at the end of the day, I think that Green Bay Packers team is very well set for the years to come. And they're in a position now where they just need the quarterback to perform.
Yep.
If you get a quarterback, Jordan Love performs, this team's going to be a playoff team for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, he looks like he could be the real deal, but it's so new. What I'm mesmerized by with people, he's got a strong arm and he's got some really good things. I'm just always confused. Like, people are mesmerized by a big, tall quarterback that's got a strong arm. It's like they get, I don't know, like misty-eyed, and they just think something. So you watch them, and when they perform pretty good, they're like, oh, they're the next thing. This is what his 5th year or 6th year now. I think last year was his 5th year. So anyway, 5th or 6th year. And he finally played like an 8-game stretch. At the beginning of the season, they thought, Love's not the guy. Then the last 8 games, he's the guy, and he's the real deal, and he's one of the best.
Yeah.
And then they take other quarterbacks, and they say, I don't know, I need to see more. He's only played 20 games and dominated. I'm talking about Brock Purdy. And they're questioning things. So I just always get confused. But if you're tall and you got a big arm, everybody gets misty-eyed. But he does look like he has potential, and he's got good receivers, got a good coach. He's got those same things that you're talking about. So I think they're set up. I have them at 4 too.
Well, I think Matt LaFleur eventually that year, so last year, I think Matt LaFleur eventually just said, I'm going to hit the screw it button. I'm just going to hit it, and we're going to see what happens. Because if you watch those first 8 games of their season, they were so restricted with him.
Yeah.
I mean, they really said, we're going to make him throw the checkdowns for the rest of the season, which is not the way that you go and test whether or not this guy's going to be your quarterback.
They're trying to build his confidence up, but they're actually limiting what he can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. And then you go and see him play the Dallas Cowboys, and you're like, oh, never mind.
Right.
They'll be okay.
Yep. I also, one thing I did like, when they played the 49ers, I think he had 2 interceptions in that game. He came off the field, and one thing I think is important for a quarterback is to have the ultimate confidence, and he didn't look rattled.
Yeah.
I was impressed by that. Like, he was still slinging it and going for it. Whether he made his last interception wasn't a good necessarily decision, but he had that I'm going for it. And you have to have that confidence to be quarterback in this league.
Absolutely.
And you do have to have a strong arm, I think, in Green Bay with the weather and everything. So he's got the potential. So, hope they do well. Hope they make it to the playoffs. Hope they lose to the 49ers. And they can keep saying they're close. That would
Sing
be what
the song.
I hope. Yeah, that's right.
Who do you have as your number 4?
Same thing, Packers.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I have the same exact team.
Wow, I'm glad we talked about them for a while.
Yeah. So, no, I see the same thing. Their receiving core, we have a receiving core. You have a running game. You have a quarterback. Their offense is good. And I think Matt LaFleur, I think he's a good coach. They razzed on him for a little while. And then they gave him credit, and I don't know, they're always back and forth, but I think I think you got a good coach. I think you got a good quarterback, hopefully, and you got good receivers, and they got a decent defense. So I think they're set, and for years to come.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think they're good. So who do you have as 3?
Number 3, Detroit Lions.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I like
know
where
what you're thinking.
I like this. Okay.
It's going to be a good finish.
Good.
Maybe we should have ended with the NFC.
No, this is suspenseful. Got it. I like this. We're both doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Got it.
I got Detroit.
Okay.
Here's the deal. As much as I want to put them ahead of San Francisco or Philadelphia, and to be honest with you, no one's going to probably pick Philadelphia number 1 because they fell on their face at the end of the season last year. No one probably wants to pick San Francisco as number 1 because they're thinking, man, did they get worse in the offseason or did they get better? And, Detroit, I don't think they really acquired much in the offseason to make me feel like they need to be moved up. I still think that Jared Goff's a solid quarterback, but would you rather have Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford on your team?
Stafford.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
And I think at the end of the day, I don't believe that he's more than a Kirk Cousins, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
And I think right now they're playing on a really talented team. You have an insane receiver core.
Yeah.
Top 5 tight end. You're right.
Yes. They do have a good running game.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Running backs and receivers. Yep.
Yep.
And they're young.
And they're young. They got some awesome running backs. Man, those guys are going to light it up this year. Jahmyr Gibbs is an absolute animal, and they barely unleashed him last year.
Yeah.
And then you have, a really solid defense. They lost a few pieces in the offseason.
Yeah.
That didn't get mentioned, but they lost a few pieces in the offseason. We'll see how it goes for them on the defensive side of things. I just can't convince myself that Jared Goff is not Kirk Cousins.
Right.
I don't think he has that. I think he's maybe a little more, but I don't think he has that absolute closer. I don't think he has the Brady mentality, the Montana mentality. I don't think he's the guy that you put in the fourth quarter to make that final drive, and you're like, my quarterback's got it.
Did you see his contract that he just got?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sitting there going, as a 49er fan, I'm thinking Brock Purdy, and when he gets a big contract, I mean, that is just going to kill your team.
Oh, yeah. Massacre it.
It's just that $54 million I think he got. That's insane.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane. So
I mean, look at the cap gymnastics they had to do over in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And we have $28 million in free cap right now.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yes.
For the team we have.
Yep. And the cap keeps going up, so that helps.
Yeah.
You need to have that going forward. That's amazing that you have that cap space when you've just paid all of these players the salaries that you just did.
Well, I think
it's remarkable.
I think what we're doing that a lot of the other teams in the league aren't, that I think is like a big thing for us, is we're paying people early.
Like, yeah.
Which is risky in some cases.
With Smith, you signed him before. See, we're doing the opposite in San Francisco. We wait for everybody to set the market and then overpay.
So here's the thing, though. It is risky.
It is.
It is risky. And we'll talk more about that when we get to my favorite Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. All right.
But no, at the end of the day, I think Detroit's an awesome team. I just can't convince myself that Jared Goff isn't another Kirk Cousins. And that's nothing bad to say about that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he can't make it to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl.
Sure.
He already made it to a Super Bowl before.
Sure.
But I can't convince myself that he's going to be the number 1.
Yeah. So my third team would be the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them at third. There's several things I think we could all go back and forth here, where I would give you credence with Detroit, where I think they're better than last year. They're going to have more experience. You wonder if Campbell will learn from his mistakes going for it all the time. I mean, he extremely helped the 49ers going for it. He gave them hope.
I like that he's consistent, though.
Yes, he is consistent, but I think he lost that game for them. We were down 24-7. And the only thing, there was times it's like, oh, please go for it. That's our only hope. Oh, good. Thank you. And then we came back and won. I think if he has a little more discipline with that, I think, when you're up 24-7, have some discipline, take the free points.
You got to look at the bigger picture.
But where I would say I can see them dropping, even though I have them higher, where I can see them dropping is I think their division is a lot harder. I think Green Bay will be better, and I think Chicago is going to be a lot better. And so you're going to have maybe potentially some more losses. And they had a couple close wins. So I could see them dipping down. I don't have them. I have Philadelphia as my third team, only because that defense was decimated last year. They didn't have a lot. They had, I think, a great draft. I just don't know if it's going to take them a little time with the youth in the cornerback situation. How, will they pick it up quick, or will it take them some time?
You never know.
And so that would be the only question I have with him, because their offensive line and Jason Kelsey leaving it. I know, they can be decent, but they don't have Jason. Kelsey was the team leader.
Well, I think he's the greatest center of all time.
So when you lose him, that's a big deal. They still have a good offensive line even without him, but you're losing leadership in the locker room, which is huge. They have great receivers, got a great quarterback. They could do it, but I have them at third.
Yeah.
So,
well, this is the thing is, someone like Jason Kelsey, he is the unsung hero of that Philadelphia Eagles team. And his praises have been sung a lot more in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But I'll just say this, he's kind of the Steph Curry of the NFL. He completely changed how centers play the game of football.
Oh, okay.
Completely.
He revolutionized his position?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
No one before Jason Kelsey was under 300-pound center.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the first under 300-pound centers to come out there and be an actual speed option. They were pulling guards at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're familiar, old school football, you pulled every guard you possibly could.
Right.
No one was pulling centers.
Yeah.
I mean, to have a guy go from the very middle of the field and get him outside is insane.
Yep.
And it takes a real insane athlete to be able to do that.
And more teams are doing that
Yes. Now. In no way is he actually Steph Curry, but
right,
he is.
But you're talking position wise. Position,
he changed the way that game's played.
Nobody thought of centers. So one of my favorite commercials of all time was way back in, we'll just say a long time ago. 49ers are in the Super Bowl, and Randy Cross is the center for the 49ers. He's in the commercial, and he's at a bar, and he's sitting there going, "Do you know who I am?" And nobody knows who he is. And he's like, and he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, right? Nobody knows who he is. And then a lady comes in, she drops her purse on the ground, and he bends down to pick it up like a center, and everybody in the bar said, "Randy Cross." And so I thought that was great. He was known from his backside.
That's fantastic.
That was a great commercial. But the Eagles, it'll be really interesting. I think they're gonna beat the Giants twice. I think they're gonna beat the Cowboys twice, and I think they're gonna split with the Commanders.
Yeah. So
that'd be my prediction.
My argument for why I put the Eagles above the Detroit Lions, I think the Detroit Lions, I think their division got a lot harder.
Yes.
I think the Packers will be really solid, obviously. And I think the Bears could sneak into the playoffs very easily.
Yes.
Very easily. Their schedule is cupcake.
Yes.
So I do not see it out of the realm of possibilities that you could have Detroit, Green Bay, and the Chicago Bears all in the playoffs.
It's possible. Or they could bump Green Bay off, or something because of things. So, all right, number 2. It's okay. You can do it.
I can't do it.
It's all right.
I can't do it. It's the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I wrote number 1, but I don't mean that.
Yeah.
I don't mean that.
You don't want this to play back in.
No, I just, at the end of the day, I got to take my green hat off.
Okay.
Put it down to the side and just say, what is it really looking like?
I had to do that with my NBA picks.
I can convince myself that the Eagles are number 2.
Yeah.
I don't think I can convince them.
You're number 2. You have a chance to be number 1.
Yeah. And I think that's true. I think we do. The hard thing for Philadelphia right now is, one, I think they have, they're in some growing pains area, right?
Yeah.
Where their defense was nowhere near what it should have been last year. You saw their offense really struggled to do anything easy at the end of the season. There's a lot of positives that I see us seeing for the future, but you don't know until they go out there and put the pads on and start hitting.
Yeah.
You would like to think that, we hired an offensive coordinator who can go out there and make the easy plays.
Yeah.
We will see.
We'll see.
You would think we hired a defensive coordinator to go out there and make the easy plays.
Yeah.
But we'll see. A lot of people got on Nick Sirianni last year saying that he's not a head coach and he's not qualified because he couldn't go in and fix the offense. He couldn't go in and fix the defense. And now, he's got a real chip on his shoulder saying whether or not he's going to be able to, fix those things for us. So
yeah, they got a new coordinator, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gosh, I'm totally blanking his name right now. It's the Cowboys coordinator. What's his name?
So it will be interesting. I don't have it right now off the top of my
totally
head.
blanking.
But it'll be interesting to see how they do and how they mesh and everything. Do you think they'll do the tush push as much?
Oh yeah, I think it'll be 10 times more effective.
More effective.
Yeah.
Without Kelsey.
Yeah. I think. So here's the thing.
They could literally just do that play and get a touchdown. They get like 3 yards every play. They go for it on 4th down. They're going to have a lot of concussions.
Yeah.
But they could. It's a final drive. Imagine 4 minutes to go in the biggest game of the year, Super Bowl. Tush push.
Yeah.
2nd and 7.
Mm-hmm.
3rd and 3. 1st down.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is as great as Jason Kelsey was, he also was old. He wasn't playing at necessarily an elite level anymore.
Yeah.
He probably was at the back end of the last 2 years of the best quality.
Still very effective.
Yes.
Way better than the 49ers center.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The guy we drafted a couple years ago, Cam Jurgens, he started at right guard last year.
Yep.
He's only 6'2". He weighs less than Jason Kelsey.
Oh, wow.
So he's a little guy.
But he's going to be able to move.
But he started at right guard last year.
Okay.
So he can move some big boys.
Yeah.
And he's a better athlete.
Okay.
I think he's actually got a chance to be really, really good.
Okay.
Whether or not he will be Jason Kelsey we'll see.
The key to that whole tush push is really the fact that you have a quarterback
that squats 600 pounds.
That can just push anybody out of the way. Extremely athletic. He's got good instincts. Very strong. And you got this collision, and then you have a guy coming behind. Just,
Well, we got a quarterback that squats 600 pounds.
Yeah, that's insane.
We have a running back now that squats 500 pounds.
Oh, yeah, and imagine trying to stop that.
Yeah.
If you're a team and the quarterback can run, the running back can run, the receivers are crazy.
I think a big part of it, too, is
it's making me nervous.
What you don't notice on the tush push is you actually have both those tackles kind of pinching in.
Yeah.
Because the center kind of falls on their face.
Yeah.
And then the guards almost make like a forward push, but real low like.
Right.
And then you have the tackles actually pinching in. And I think that's actually a really big, important part of it. Mm-hmm. And, ultimately, I think that when you go back and you look at, some of those plays, I think the fact that we have 2 really good tackles makes a big difference, too.
Sure. Okay.
But anyways, that's enough about the Eagles.
Okay.
We don't need to talk about the best team in the league.
So I have Detroit, but we talked about the reasons why already. I have them at number 2.
Yep.
And they're just a young team up and coming, and I see some really good things for them.
So what made you feel confident that they're your number 2?
I wouldn't say I felt confident, but they are just young and they have a fire. I actually love their coach. I think he made a poor decision I was grateful for. But I love the fact that he believes in his team. Mm-hmm. And when you have players and they know their coach believes in them, that's awesome. Yeah. That really until it doesn't work again, then they'll start questioning him. But for now, his spirit, his spunk. But they've got, like I said, the running back, the receivers. They're young. I think they improved their cornerback situation, which is something they needed to work on. And I think they gained a lot of experience last year. So I like them.
I think what I like about Dan Campbell a lot is some people were screaming that he's a wild card, but he's not a wild card. He's pretty consistent with what he does.
Very consistent. He goes for it in those situations all the time, and the team knows it.
And what he's telling his team every time is, "I believe in you more than I believe in the guy across the field."
Absolutely. The game before the 49ers, that won it for him.
Yeah.
So it can pay off. So we both have then the number 1 team is the 49ers. So here's why I have the 49ers at number 1. All of this is contingent upon health.
Yeah.
The thing that makes me the most nervous for the 49ers is health. Debo is a player that gets hurt. He just does. He was hurt in the Super Bowl. He was playing hobbled. Kittle is getting older, and they play him and he just is a brawler the way he plays. Is he going to be healthy? Trent Williams is a great offensive tackle, left tackle. but he's getting older.
Did I hear this is his last year confirmed?
No, I thought that was the case. I thought I heard that, but he's not. Hopefully, if he leaves, I don't even want to talk about next year because our offensive line we'll have one person left and two not very good players left.
Yeah.
I mean, we need a whole offensive line. But if all the teams were to stay healthy, the 49ers defense is great.
Oh yeah.
And I think our safeties will be great. Our
How did your
linebackers,
defensive line do in the offseason?
They did well in free agency. They did well. So they picked things up there. They got, ironically, the first game they play of the season is against the Jets, and they got Leonard Floyd is now going against the Jets again, and he's the one that hurt Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
So Aaron Rodgers gets to go back to Leonard Floyd.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that'll be interesting. But I think that when you can run the ball, and McCaffrey, how long is he going to stay healthy? But if they stay healthy, the best running game, they got a top quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks. Their receivers are going to be great.
You guys played without your stud safety like all last year too.
Yes, and I think we improved. Now he's going to be back, Huff, and then we also have Mustafa, who we got, who's looking, I guess, great in minicamp. So I think we're going to be better at safety. Our cornerbacks, I think, are actually going to be better. We're going to be without Greenlaw for a while, so the first half of the season, we've got to hold up. But when he's back, we have great linebackers. We got Nick Bosa is going to be, I think, better this year than last year because they signed him so late. He came in late. In the first half of the season, he was slow. Then he started picking up. So I just think they're the best roster as of now overall. So
I think you guys are in a very difficult situation where I think there's a lot of weight on one player and one player only.
Yep.
And the problem is about when you have a situation like that is everyone else in the team's going to feel it.
Yeah.
And you have someone like Christian McCaffrey. How long can he stay healthy for?
Yeah.
Because he was not healthy very often in Carolina.
No.
And he came to San Francisco.
I know. That was a big worry. And then we just run him every time. We're up 25 points in 3 minutes to go, and they just keep running him.
Yep.
Kyle Shanahan's got to figure that out.
Yep. Debo, we talked about that. He is injured a lot.
Yes.
Hopefully he can stay healthy for them.
Yep.
I think for the most part, they should be pretty good as far as most people staying healthy.
Yeah.
I think that the main people that I would worry about is Debo and Christian McCaffrey.
And Trent Williams.
Yeah, and
He's
Trent
older.
Williams. Well, here's the thing. If they lose Trent Williams, they will lose.
They will lose. Oh, absolutely. Yes. I could see them not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because that left side, our left side's good.
Yeah.
Our right side's not.
Yeah.
I would just put 10 people on the other side if I was a team. The right side's terrible. But anyway, okay, so let's move to the AFC.
Yeah.
All right. So who do you have as number 7?
Ooh. Well, another Los Angeles team. Los Angeles Chargers.
Holy cow. Yes. Yeah. They're going to be good. You believe in the coach, don't you?
Yeah,
it's
I do.
The coach is the difference.
I do.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
I'm
a sucker for a coach.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for it.
Yep.
Like, I struggled to leave Sean Payton off this list with the Denver Broncos. I know he's just got Bo Nix.
Yeah.
And I know that Broncos team was a mess.
Yeah.
But did you see how much better they got over the course of the season last year with Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
And everyone said, I'm pretty sure Russell Wilson's washed.
Yeah.
And he ended up having a half-decent season at the end of the year.
His stats were fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they started out rough. Was it the first 5 games they lost in a row or something like that?
It was a rough go.
It was bad. I don't know. I'm a sucker for a coach. When I see a team and I'm like, you got a great coach, I'm like, you're going to probably be okay.
And he's been good with quarterbacks too.
Yeah. And he's got 2 good things. You got a good coach, good quarterback. I think they got a good start for something awesome.
Yeah.
That being said, they completely depleted all their wide receivers.
I know.
They lost Austin Eckler in the offseason. Their defense, it was pretty ragtag last year, but then again, I didn't believe in their coach much last year.
Yeah.
This is what I'll say. I think John Harbaugh is going to do one thing and one thing really well. He's going to run the dang football.
Yeah, Jim.
Sorry, Jim.
That's okay. You're thinking, yep.
I think he's going to run the dang football.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, with, their offensive line solid, Justin Herbert at quarterback, the play action is going to be open a lot. I don't think they necessarily need to have the best receiver core in the NFL at that point.
No, because he's going to play smash mouth football with a quarterback that can bail him out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to wear teams out, and
Yeah,
then he's just going to hit the open lanes after that because
Yep.
he's got a quarterback that can do it.
Yep.
So I don't know. I believe in it.
Yep.
I see it coming.
I have Miami at 7.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That's rough.
I have Miami at 7. I have them making it. But I mean, that team could be much better. I mean, that receiver crew is awesome. But I see them making it. I just see that they're going to win enough games. I think they're going to lose a few too. I also never know about Tua. His health worries me. I mean,
yeah. Absolutely.
He's been decimated in scary injuries.
He didn't miss a game last year.
No, he didn't. He made it. I just don't know if he can keep going. A small little quarterback with injury history is rough. So let's go to 6. Who do you have as 6?
I have number 6, Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay. All right.
Oh, man. I don't 100% believe in their defense. I don't 100% believe in their offense. And Joe Burrow cannot stay healthy.
No, he's had 2 rough health seasons.
But, man, I do not want to bet against the coldest white man on this side of the Mississippi.
No.
Oh, my gosh. You just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't. If that guy's healthy,
yeah,
they're in the playoffs, and you better hope they're not going to the Super Bowl.
He's a stud.
You better hope not.
Yeah.
Because that guy is a dude.
Yeah. But he started slow last year.
He did.
So it's interesting. They need a block for him.
Yeah.
But they got a receiver, Chase. They got some weapons. So.
Here's the thing, though. They've drafted offensive linemen for the past 2-3 years. Ever since drafting Joe Burrow, they at least worked on it.
Yeah.
Right? He's still going to have a decent wide receiver core this year. They lost one of their wide receivers out of the 3. The other one's coming back on a franchise tag, whether he likes it or not. You still got Jamar Chase, who's probably a top 5 receiver in the league.
Yeah.
They have a solid tight end out there. The running back situation, I don't know what they're going to do about that, but they had a guy behind Joe Mixon that was pretty good. So I don't think they're going to be necessarily in the woods on that.
Right.
The defense played solid last year, even down the road after Joe Burrow was gone.
Yeah.
Ultimately I look at it and I go, man, I don't want to bet against them.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. So, well, I have as my 6th team, I have the Chargers. So I'm with you.
Okay.
I believe in them. I think he is going to reestablish. One thing I like about Jim Harbaugh is he is going to be the identity of that team. He's going to build from the inside out. So I think they're going to do well. As we said, who do you have as number 5?
Number 5. Oh, man. This was hard for me.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that they're the exact same position as Cincinnati for the same reason. It's the Buffalo Bills.
Okay. So I have them at 5 too.
Oh, well, let's go after it.
So we're both the same. Okay. So I'm with you on that.
Here's the thing. Man, I don't want to bet against them.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, but they lost Diggs. They lost some people.
They lost some dudes.
Yeah, and so I question them. But Josh Allen's Josh Allen. So,
I mean, here's the thing. You're sitting there thinking, oh, man, if they lose Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen's going to have to put the team on his back. What has he done for the last 5 years?
Yeah. He's a guy that can do it.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know. I think they still have a solid defense. I still think they have a very solid defense. I don't think that that's a misconception at all.
Right.
I think their biggest issue right now is who's he going to throw the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Someone might step up. And they did draft a guy. So, someone might step up. I think ultimately the big thing for them is at the end of the season last year, they got the run game going for Josh Allen. And I think that's a big thing for him.
Okay.
I think if they can get a run game.
The running game is the key for them.
Oh, absolutely.
If they run the ball well, they're tough.
Yeah. So I guess my guesstimate here is just saying that I believe the Buffalo Bills are going to be really good if they can get the run game going again.
Sure.
They had it going last year at the end of the season. I think they can do it again. And at that point, I'm going to say, as long as Josh Allen stays healthy, that team will be a playoff team.
So we both agree on that. Who do you have at 4?
Number 4, Houston Texans.
Oh, my goodness. We're on the same page again. Look at this.
But we're not going to be on the same page as where Miami's at.
No, I get it. I understand. But that's okay. 4.
Here's the deal. The
CJ Stroud's a real deal.
I think at the end of the day, I didn't want to put them too high up.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I think they take advantage of playing in a really weak conference.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yep. But they're going to get wins.
Yeah, they're going to get wins. They play in a weak conference. I think that CJ Stroud is that guy. Last year in the draft, I just kept on saying, I feel like I would have taken CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
And
well, that was a good call.
Yeah. Oh man, I kept
and D'Amico Ryans is a great coach too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and what I like about D'Amico Ryans is he set a tone for that team pretty early on.
Yeah.
And I think that made a big difference for them finding their identity as a team.
Yep.
And them going in and actually being able to make a good headway for what they want in the future.
Right.
I think CJ Stroud's going to be the quarterback for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And he's going to do awesome at that. They have a great wide receiver core. I really enjoyed watching their wide receivers. They had 3 or 4 guys that I think could start on almost any team in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, and they really did go out there and they float.
Yeah. Well, again, you've got a good coach. You've got a good quarterback. You got a solid team. So
they couldn't really get the running back situation figured out last year. They had like Damian Pierce and stuff like that, and it was just like it was really lackluster. You know, it was like he'd have one solid game, and then it was like 5 really bad games, and you know, I don't really know what was going on there with that. I didn't really think it hurt them that much, so maybe they don't really need the run game to be that great for them to actually prosper. But that defense is killer.
Yep.
You know, I think they're going to keep on hunting after the passer. And, you know, ultimately, I think they took some really great picks again this year. So I can see, I see them doing really well. I think I'm just holding them back at 4 because I think their strength of schedule is, for the most part, half decent, but they also get to play some really easy in-conference games. And I don't know if they're going to really play any, like, teams where I'm like, oh, man. I just feel like at this point I need to see them play
and they're still young.
San Francisco 49ers or a Kansas City Chiefs or a Baltimore Raven team for me to go, yep, okay, no, they got it.
So I think moving to 3, I think I know where we're at here.
Yep.
Who do you have?
I have the Miami Dolphins.
That's what I figured.
Yep.
You like them.
Yeah, well,
their receiving core, do you like Beckham Jr.'s or third?
Yeah.
Third. So that's not a bad. Waddle, you have Hill. I mean,
here's the thing. They're going to have the top record.
Yeah.
They're going to have the top record in the AFC. They'll be the number 1 seed.
You think they'll be the number 1? So you have them at 3 or do you have them at 1?
Well, I have them at 3 as far as how good I think they are.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I think they'll have the top record, though.
Really?
Yeah. This is the thing. Their strength of schedule is pretty easy.
All right.
They have a pretty easy strength of schedule. They play in a conference that I don't think is great right now.
Okay.
And they're going to go out there. They're going to have an opportunity. They play the Buffalo Bills twice a year. Pretty inconsistent team. They should be able to at least split that with them. Yep. They go and they play you know, the Patriots twice a year.
That's 2 wins.
That's 2 wins right there.
Is it the Jets in their division?
Jets. Yeah.
I think it's the Jets. Yeah.
So then they're going to go play the Jets.
Yep.
That should be 2 wins.
Yeah.
Right?
Could be.
So I just feel like ultimately I just really think that this team, as long as they're at home, Tua is healthy.
Yeah. If he's healthy,
it's a hard to beat team.
They are a hard to beat.
It's going to be hard to go down to Florida and run with this team.
Yeah.
I think Tyreek Hill actually, I think he fell short of what his goal was last year.
Okay.
But I think he did prove that he ultimately is probably one of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now.
Okay.
No one could cover him.
Well,
and they knew that all he was going to do was run away from him.
Yeah.
You would have thought halfway through the year, people would have been like, all right, guys, I think I know what to do now. We're just going to put a guy on the 50-yard line because we know he's going to go deep.
To think that Tyreek Hill and Mahomes were on the same team is just really not fair.
Insane.
That is a dream scenario. So they are a tough out. They could beat anybody. I agree with that, with their potential. I just have their realities a little bit lower. But number 2.
Wait, who'd you have as your number 3?
Oh, I'm sorry, Cincinnati.
Oh,
I had Cincinnati. It's a hard pick, but I have them because of Burrow. It's the Burrow chase factor.
Yeah.
They just, if he's on, I also saw him play against the 49ers last year, and even though he was terrible up until that game, he played the 49ers, and I think he had like 17. He went 17 for 18 in a row of completions, and they beat us. So maybe I'm having, you know.
Here's the thing. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I don't see why they wouldn't be available for that. Yeah. Like I said, I think if they stay healthy, I think they're going to be able to put it together. I think that defense is still probably top 5 in the AFC. I think Joe Burrow is probably one of the better quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah.
Probably top 3, to be honest with you. It's probably what? Mahomes, maybe Josh Allen better than him. And then you got Oh yeah, see, I mean, it's like you're either going to put Lamar or Josh before him, and then it's him. So I mean, he's probably top 3 quarterback.
Yeah, he could be as high as the second best quarterback in the league to the 5th, somewhere in there overall. So he's great.
So honestly, I think there's no reason you can't say that to be true. For sure.
So I think our number 2 and 1 is probably going to be similar. But who's your 2?
You say your 2 first.
Okay, my 2 is Baltimore.
Oh, I have Kansas City.
So the reason why I have Baltimore at 2 is because they lost several offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure how they'll do in their linebacker core. They lost the key linebacker. And so Quinn, anyway, so it'll be, I'm not sure how they're going to be.
Yeah.
But they have Lamar Jackson as he's healthy. He's a hard out. Some improved receiver play. Here's the thing. Well, I won't say about my number 1, but until somebody dethrones somebody, I think number 1 needs to stay number 1. That's just my belief, unless they fall off a cliff or something.
Yeah.
So I think Baltimore's number 2, and I think they stay number 2. Who do you have as number 2?
I have Kansas City as number 2.
Okay.
And this is what I'll say about that.
Okay.
Should they be number 1? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I take it to the heart a little bit?
Yeah.
Just maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think if you want to fight for why Kansas City should probably be number 1, this is what I'll say. If anyone was going to beat them, it was going to be last year.
I know.
And man, they are stacked now. I think they have the ability to be able to not only be the best team in the AFC next year, I think they have the ability to go 3-peat, which has never been done. I do think that Travis Kelce is at the end of his career.
That is my concern for them.
So
I think he's
this is what I felt like. I feel like the longevity of Travis Kelce to be able to make it a full season is going to be rough.
Yeah.
I think their running game, I'm just not 100% sold. Pacheco has some solid moments.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold that he can be consistent in the times they need him. The wide receiver core is obviously better with the new addition of the rookie. But we haven't seen the guy catch the ball. We know he runs fast.
Yeah, Worthy.
Yeah,
the new receiver.
Yeah. I worry about Patrick Mahomes and his situation. Ultimately, he is the best quarterback in the AFC. He is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Currently, right now.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he's still got to throw it to somebody.
Yep.
And if Kelsey's out, that means there's double coverage that used to go to Kelsey, but now can go to everyone else.
Yep.
Which just makes things even more difficult. You got guys dropping balls everywhere last year. Their defense played really good. It's a young defense, but they lost some key players on the defense. And you got some guys getting older.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, if you want to make an argument for them being at number 2, I think you can.
Absolutely.
But
I could agree with you. I have them rated different, but to go with your point, I think Kelce is already going down. I'm not saying he's a terrible tight end.
Yeah, he's still
he's older, and I predict he's going to miss multiple games this year. I just think age, it happens.
Yep.
That's just my guess. I think he's going to be down. I also think the Chiefs, they get all the credit in the world. They did it when it maybe their hardest season to do it, so I give them credit. But part of winning a championship, you have to have fortune at times, and they were very fortunate in the last 2 games they played. Having a turnover at the 1-inch line at the end of the game against Baltimore helped them get to the Super Bowl. Playing in a Super Bowl where the other team loses 5 starters and you lose nobody, it just fortune happens for every team, and I think they had some fortunate things. I don't know that will always happen.
Nobody wins 2 Super Bowls without having some sort of luck.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Everybody needs it. I mean, the 49ers, to get there, were fortunate to have a ball bounce off a receiver's helmet, or a defensive back's helmet, and you catch. You got to have some fortune to get there. They just had a little bit more than I think is normal. So I don't think they're going to get the fortune. I think they're going to be better, but I can't expect those same odds, a ball bouncing off a foot and going, but I do have them at my number 1. My number 2 is Baltimore.
Yep.
I just think because of their offensive line, that's what I'm not sure about. John Harbaugh is great at filling that stuff in, but they did lose some key players. So I don't know if they're going to lose some quick division games because of that maybe will fall to number 2. But I do have my number 1 is Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes always wins. Whether it's Magic, fortune, whatever it doesn't really matter at the end because they got a ring. They keep getting rings. I'm not going to say that they're going to get a ring this year, but I've said that before and been wrong.
I think it's more likely that they win the Super Bowl than most people think.
Yeah.
And I think they have that ability.
I think they also have, because of Mahomes, I think teams going afraid.
Here's the deal, though. I also just want to say there's a reason why it hasn't been done.
Yeah.
There's a good reason why it hasn't been
done. Well, health
you
is
have
a
to
big
have
part.
Health lineup. Yes. You have to have just overall luck lineup.
Yep.
You have to have overall talent lineup. I mean, look at the Patriots eras. Sorry. They weren't able to do it.
No.
And they won a lot.
And they were a dynasty.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I mean, that's true.
It's difficult.
So you have Baltimore.
Yeah. This is my thing.
It's the Lamar factor?
Well, it's the Lamar factor. I think that at the end of the day, I think what I took away from last year's season is I was under the impression that Lamar was going to get paid and he was going to go, I don't have to try as hard anymore.
Yeah.
But I think I saw a burning passion in that guy.
No, I agree with that.
I think I saw a burning passion in Lamar last year.
Trying to prove himself.
I think he got paid and still tried to prove himself.
I agree.
And I'm going to take what that loss meant to him last year and say he probably has been in the offseason working harder than he ever has before.
True.
And if you were not able to be comfortable after getting paid one of the highest contracts guaranteed of all time, I don't think he's comfortable now losing to the Chiefs in the AFC.
Yeah.
So I think he's working really hard. I think Derrick Henry, he's probably at the end of his running back lifespan. But I think when you have a very fast running quarterback behind the ball, and then you have a very solid, hard hit you running back, I just think you got it's Cheech and Chong, it's Yin and Yang, it's Thunder and Lightning. It's you got the two combo.
Well, that's my problem with the Chiefs is Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, till somebody beats them, it's hard to root against
that. And you remember when I said I'm a sucker for a great coach?
Yeah.
Gosh, I love John.
John is great too.
John is great.
Yep.
He's like Jim without the attitude.
Gosh, both of those teams beat my 49ers, so I'm struggling right now.
No, this is the thing. I truly think that both those Harbaugh boys are I think they're amazing coaches.
Yeah.
I think Jim's going to do great this year. I personally, if I was going to pick between the two, I'd pick John every time. I think he's probably just a little bit more likable of a guy.
He is. I think Jim will rub you wrong after a few years, but they're both great coaches.
Yep. But here's the deal. I like I said, I'm a sucker for a coach. I think John is a fantastic coach. There's a reason why he's been at the Ravens for as many years as he has. And I see them having a really good season next year.
Okay, so we'll finish up here. Just name a couple teams that you think are on the outside looking in. I'm just going to say the teams. You say the teams that might make it that we didn't mention. I'm going to say, sticking with the AFC, I think on the outside, I'd say the Jaguars.
Yep.
And possibly the Jets, just depending on how Aaron Rodgers do.
Yep.
Who would be a couple teams?
No, I think Jets and Jaguars are a good shout out. I think my sleeper teams, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but the Bears.
Okay, NFC, I would agree with the Bears. And
yep, absolutely not out of the question that the Bears can make it in. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay makes it in versus the Falcons.
Tampa Bay over the Falcons and Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. Oh, man, don't leave Seattle. And I don't believe in Murray.
Yeah.
I do not believe in Murray, but don't leave it out of question that the Arizona Cardinals can't make it. And that's the problem with the NFC West, is I think all four of those teams could have a chance.
Well, and the thing is, the teams are still not finished developing. They'll still add players, and then you get in the preseason, we'll redo this again because somebody will get hurt, and that can change everything. But those are our picks. We got them down. We'll see how we do, and we'll come back and look forward to seeing how things play out.